00 of Kenny Bombera.
This is Roy Hall from Willy. Excuse me, from O'Reilly Chevrolet. So he's going to go around and just thank the drivers for being here.
Of course, I would like to thank Roy Lee of O'Reilly Chevrolet, our sponsor, for coming out here tonight. Without him, it's not possible. Let's make some noise for Roy Lee. Coming up next to you, we have the 7 car of Zach Real. Coming up next, we have the 13, the coolest name in the entry list, Trayton Tar. This next driver probably doesn't need an introduction to you, Tucson. We've seen him here. We've seen him NASCAR Xfinity. We've seen him everywhere. Give it up for the 43 of Cody Vanderwall. Coming up next, we have one of the fastest cars, most consistent cars I've seen, the 79 of Barrett Paul Hemus. Coming up next, we have turning to Tucson Speedway, a former champion, the 4 of Ricky Bogart. Next up, no stranger to the Chili Willy or to Tucson Speedway, driving one of the most beautiful camo blue cars I've ever seen, the 2 of Mike Aguirola. And next in the 11R, a beautiful looking car, it is Darren Robertson. Coming up next, come to us out of Canada, the 5 of David Smith. Also coming to us out of Canada, we have the 81 of Daryl Midgley. We then have the 57 of a driver who is making the debut with the Super Lates, but she's won everywhere else she's run, from a Hornet Championship to outlaw wins against Herschel McGriff. Let's give it up for the 57 of Jen Hall. And this guy, man, he's one of my favorites. I can't even lie. He represents my hometown of Sierra Vista so well. The 63 of Joe Paladinic. And coming up next, a man who I try to give the longest introduction to every time. He is your 2020, your 2021 Pro Stock Champion and 2021 Super Late Model Runner-Up. It is the 26 of Dylan Jones. Up next, we have the 100S, all the way out of Minnesota, Tristan Swanson. We now have one of the most colorful cars I've seen with black in it, the 89 of Zach Morris. Coming up next, no stranger to Tucson Speedway. You'll hear me say she has the best long run car at Tucson. It is the 14 of Vanessa Robinson. No stranger, this is the other 81. We have, oh, this is Daryl Midgley. So the last one was Brandon Carlson. Let's give it up for Brandon Carlson. And now let's give it up for the other 81 of Daryl Midgley. All right, coming up next, we have the 22S, a team who has worked worked so hard to be here and is racing for so much. Let's give it up for Buddy Shepherd. Of course, this man is no stranger to late model racing, coming to us from the great state of Colorado. He is the one, the only, Bruce the Moose Yackey. This is a guy, he has done fantastic here before. He's run here before. He knows what it takes. The 48 of Eddie Vaccarelli. Coming up next, we have the 34 in a car that looks a lot like Lightning McQueen, Rudy Vanderwall. Driving a beautiful red 11 Sigma SPS sponsored, it is none other than Dustin Ash. Coming to us from Stockton, California, the 90 of Ross Stramiska. Next, we have one of my all-time favorites, guys. He is the number 9 of Stormin', Ron Norman. This stranger is no stranger to victory lane, even though he might be a stranger to Tucson. He won yesterday. He's looking to replicate today out of Stockton, Blaine Rocha. Now, folks, any of you who have been at Tucson Speedway before already know who this man is. He is the 2021 Tucson Speedway Lolly Chevrolet Super Late Model Champion, the 2021 Colorado National Champion, and the 2021 Arizona State Champion, Brett Yackey. Coming up next, it's a man who came very close last year, looking to make up for it this year, the 65 of Tyler Tanner. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, your quick qualifier with a blazing time of 15.030. It is the 18 of Preston Peltier. Ladies and gentlemen, your Chili Willy 150 lineup. Folks, hang on. No, go ahead.
Drivers, start your engines.
Ladies! No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay,
I'm just
good.
kidding.
Good.
I couldn't do that to you.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Tucson Speedway's 9th edition of the Chili Willy here in 2022. I'm Jeffrey Best alongside Tommy Mason. We're with Low Budget TV and happy to be bringing this one to you, producing this one. And Tommy, obviously excited about, like we talked about throughout the whole weekend, that we got the call saying, hey, we got a Chili Willy to do. So absolutely hope that all of you enjoy yourselves and watching this one and joining us through the next 150 laps of adventure, as these cars will certainly be putting on a show. We have favorites, we have drivers that have set themselves apart from the field, but the fun part about short track racing is you just can't assume what's going to happen until that checkered flag flies. Hey, sometimes stuff changes after that too. But for the Chili Willy 150, Tommy, what in the heck can we expect?
You know, that's to be determined. We've seen domination that has come down to the final 15 laps. We've seen frustration from the start, and we've seen everything in between. That's what makes this Chili Willy 150 so much fun here under the Arizona sun at Tucson Speedway. Preston Peltier, we talked about how the cars were coming onto the racetrack, oozing confidence. We haven't seen anything more out of this 18 than he needs to be on track. He missed the qualifying race. He had his car already locked in for a time. Tyler Tanner, on the other hand, ran the full race. Tyler Tanner, remember last year, runner-up finisher, had this race quite possibly in the bag until a late race charge by Christian McGee. Elbows up, racing, door slam, bumper tag, and McGee got by inside of 20 to go. Tyler Tanner remembers that. You know, he's been thinking about it for a year, and he wants to put his name on the Chili Willy trophy. Brett Yaki, third place here in the lineup. The 2021 Tucson Speedway Track champion. He wants to put his name on the illustrious list. We got so many great competitors here ready to go. We got Tucson Speedway.
The first two drivers in the field were the ones that locked themselves in qualifying. Third and fourth were your winners from last night's qualifying races. The rest of the field sorted by those qualifying races. Some drivers with speed having trouble in those races, including the 43 machine of Cody Vanderwall. Battling for the lead, looked like potential contact, cut down the tire, spun it out, and knocked out the rear end of the car. The team went to work overnight, got this thing patched up and fixed, and the car is looking competitive once again per his practice run. But he's got some work to do. This is a race that we often talk about tire strategy. Heading into this weekend, the drivers anticipated having a two-tire pit stop at the halfway break. That has gone away since then. It is now just the tires you start on are the tires that you're going to finish on. We will have a halfway break at lap 75. You can put fuel in the car. You can make adjustments. But those tires, man, you got to keep them happy for 150 laps.
It's going to be hard to do for some. Some want to charge, some got to wait. And this is going to be the ultimate tire saving game. If you're a dirt track fan tuning in, NASCAR on Flow, welcome. It's all about your tires here in pavement racing, especially at Tucson Speedway. It's going to be a whole lot of fun to see which drivers have their strategies. We talk about the Yaki strategy. Let's go to the front and don't waste time. Manage the race. I'm going to be curious if maybe the first half of the field goes hard for the first 20 laps and then saves. Got to see who's the fast car that has been saving for the weekend, including qualifying. This set of tires that are on these cars are the same from their qualifying. So, even then, the tire strategy. Some electing to qualify slower to, again, save a few laps of tires on their race cars.
It's all going to play out over the next 150 laps. We are 2 laps away from the green flag flying on the 2022 edition of the Chili Willy. As Tommy said, we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here. You chose a good one, folks. Hopefully you got the seatbelts on the couch. Tommy, you were referencing helmets earlier. Every main event up to this point in the day has seen a red flag. We're hoping to change that trend here in this one. But one thing we can guarantee is you are about to see some fantastic racing. It is a small track, but do not be surprised when you see 3 and 4 wide racing on this one as different strategies with some great drivers play out.
Looks like we're getting an extra lap to build heat.
Build the suspense, you mean?
Build the suspense.
Yeah.
Gotta wonder what's going on behind the wheel of these race cars. Drivers, do they got butterflies or are they out the window? I think the strategy is still in play as we go lights out around the racetrack.
If you're up front, you're going to want to keep it up front. If you're in the back, you're going to want to make your moves methodically. Keep your car out of trouble. Don't put it on the hook. Save those tires for the end. And it is time for the Chili Willy 2022. Green flag is in the air. Side by side for the lead. Tyler Tanner on the outside. Preston Peltier on the inside.
So far, so clean. Double file a lot all around the racetrack, including for the lead.
The long-term preferred groove is going to be that outside line. But as you can see, these drivers very easily can run side by side for a number of laps.
Starting to see 3 wide, Dustin Ash in the red number 11. Working to the inside of Rudy Vanderwell, 34.
Vanderwall, another one of those drivers who opted out of today's practice session. Must have felt good about his car after the qualifying races. You see Bruce the Moose Yackey making a move.
On that Yackey strategy.
And speaking of a Yackey making a move, to the second spot comes Brett Yackey in the number 32. Preston Peltier leads over Yackey, Tanner, Rocha, and Norman, the top 5. Battle for fourth.
Vecchiarelli in the 48 trying to make his way up to the front.
Looks like a battle for the lead. Brett Yackey kind of eyeing that outside line. Tom, you mentioned that 3 wide action down the back straight away. Now, what I just said a few laps ago is the line that these drivers will probably want to run is that higher line, but Peltier, even when he's clear, has been running that low line. But here comes Brett. The Yak attack, the Yackey strategy. These Yackeys like to go for, they say strategy, I'll let you know how it finishes. And as the 2021 champion, say Brett Yackey's probably pretty comfortable with this track and what he can do with this car.
And you got to wonder if these teams are trying to hit a mark on their lap time as what they feel like is the correct speed to save. Remember, all this side-by-side racing is not just for position, but they also got to save. Tires are everything here in this 150.
Still side-by-side for the lead. Tom, if you do a pull out here, you're going to see they're still 3 wide all over the place.